attractions. We've got some cleaning up administrative things to do. We've got then just informational things. Arun and Bobby and I went to the park meeting last week, the park design meeting, and we need to report on that. And I had some of that material printed out for all of us in case you hadn't run it out from city sources or whatever. And we're not going to make decisions on any of that, but there's Pat. And look at the financials and see where we are, and then talk about upcoming things that we need to pay, or may be called to pay attention to. Pat?
Here.
Welcome. All right. First thing, roll call. Bobby, would you?
Bobby Hempling.
Brian Ryder.
Arun Natason.
Kathy Casey.
Fred Hartman.
Pat Sheehan.
Thank you all for being here. Public comments? There will be times, I assure you, when we get to funding whatever is going to be up in the park where we will get lots of public comment, but not today. So that item will finish. Okay, action on the minutes from February 9, RCDC meeting. By the way, I apologize for not having had a meeting in March. As I sent an email around, I had knee surgery and I was incapacitated, and there wasn't a whole lot to be done anyway, so I ask your forgiveness for missing the March meeting and not getting that together, but we're back together, and so we need to approve the minutes from the February 9 meeting that we did have, which basically where we appointed officers and did talk about the administrative things we needed to do, some of which we'll try to do tonight. Questions about minutes?
Do we need to do a motion for all 4 items on the consent agenda?
No, let's do it one at a time.
Okay.
Because we have to, I need to go through some of those in detail. So
Well, I'll
right
make
now
a-
I'm just asking for an approval of the February 9 RCDC minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anything, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Administrative matter is the discussion and possible action on the minutes from the October 20 RCDC meeting. If you recall, what we had was some minutes and some resolutions, and the two did not get together as to amounts and purposes, and those have been reworked to a degree. So that we now have attached to the agenda on the city's website for this meeting, we have revised minutes for the Monday, October 20, 2025 meeting. Now, I know that 3 of you weren't there, so you're excused from having first-hand information on this. Pat and Bobby and I were there, and these revised minutes, I think, are good enough to get us where we need to go, and that is that the minutes adopted will then also match the resolutions that have been created, and I don't know if they've been presented to City Council at all, but that's a separate question that we will ask of those present here, including our city administrator. But just let's get the minutes done. I am satisfied now that the October 25 minutes are, as revised and in your package today, are accurate enough to adopt for purposes of RCDC's records. Do I have any other comment or questions? Bobby, you're still looking at these things?
Yeah, just because when I looked earlier today, I didn't see the packet online from this meeting today, so I'm trying to catch it. Did they just post it?
I don't know. Nikki, when were they posted? The packet?
Yeah, the packet was fully posted this afternoon because we received late submissions for it.
Okay. that happened, but I have looked at what's posted, Bobby. The question has always been the amounts that were approved. We considered in October 2 proposals. One was that Melissa Morrow of the Park Commission had requested kind of standby funding for any additional cost to do the renovations up here by the concession stand that had been largely done, but they wanted to do some changes to the borders and the boulders, and there was a discussion that the Park Commission wanted us to do some standby funding. And we agreed to do that to the tune of I took this out
Was
of
it
order.
50,000?
14,500.
14.5?
14,500.
What was the number again?
14,500. And speaking of Ms. Melissa, there she is. We also talked about,
That was sprinkler.
pardon?
14.5 was sprinkler. 3,000 was for environmental study. 2,800.
Well, we decided not to do that though.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it was just, I have
14,000.
14,500.
14.5 is what I see, but that was for resodding, sprinkler, and soil testing for the ball fields.
Well, see, now this gets us into the issue of the differences between the minutes and the Rolling Wood Community Development Corporation Resolution 10/2005. And 05 deals with playscape improvements, which is what I was speaking of, Bobby.
That was 12,200 according to this
12,000.
for Gomez Construction.
Okay, my understanding of this,
Sorry, are you saying the resolution or the minutes?
I'm just reading as I go right now. Just give me 2 seconds.
okay, the minutes as proposed for October 20, we did 2 things. Melissa?
Yep.
One was design of support for the design of the new irrigation system and the upper park work.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that for $14,000 is what our minutes say from
I'm sorry,
October.
what does it say that it was for?
The
Thanks.
minutes say a new irrigation system for the upper field. The resolution says the resolution says landscape architect's drawing for improvements to Rolling Wood Park, which is for I think the renovation of the upper field and the plans for what this has become, the different alternatives for off-leash areas as well as the reconfiguration of baseball fields. And for that, the minutes say, in terms of a new irrigation system, 14,500, and the standby for the black border and replacing it with natural designs for the improvements around the concession stand. The minutes say $14,000, up to $14,000 if needed. And so that's the question, is we have that in the minutes. Bobby, do you want to correct? We need to get this correct. And then in the resolutions that were drawn up after the meeting, we have $20,000 for landscape architect drawings for improvements, which doesn't match, I don't believe.
Yeah, that matches ours.
Does that match?
Yeah.
And then 14,005 for architectural renderings for possible improvements to Rolling Wood Park. Well, see, this is the problem. In the heading, it's called playscape improvements, and in the section 2, it's architectural renderings for possible improvements, which is the same thing we have in resolution 06. 05 and 06 are identical there, except for number, and this is an error. 05 is an error because the 14,500 or 14,000, we have to get the number right, was for playscape improvements.
But it wasn't, it was for the architectural renderings. That's what it was for. That's what we discussed it. There wasn't anything talking about playscape improvement.
Well, the
Who
minutes
did
say
the
we did
minutes?
two.
Huh?
The minutes say we did two things, playscape improvement.
Michaela? I mean, if I were you, unless you wanna spend the whole meeting on these minutes, or maybe it's important because you wanna know how much money you have.
Well,
No.
But I think
no.
someone needs to sit down and go watch the meeting again and get this correct.
well,
Cause I can't even understand, honestly, I mean, I can't understand what this is even, what y'all approved, honestly. And I don't honestly remember.
well, we
It.
haven't approved minutes yet, and it's the
Yeah.
confusion of what it was, what did we approve, for the October minutes? And we have three new board members with no recollection of that, obviously.
Right.
Then the resolutions that were adopted after the meeting, both of which say, therefore, architectural renderings for possible improvements, instead of one of them being for, as I recall, the minute, we talked about and gave you some backup for money for the landscape, hardscape improvements up here by the concession stand.
Yeah.
Which now Pat says that he doesn't remember that discussion at all.
Okay, so there were two different projects. So there was the project of the retaining wall,
Right.
and then that went successfully, and we actually
Is
saved
that,
money.
okay, you call it a retaining wall and I called it, landscape improvements for the,
Well,
the
that's why I'm
concession.
saying there's two different ones.
They're
So
two
there
different
was it was originally a retaining wall,
the
it was a,
retaining wall does not make it into the minutes or the resolutions.
Right, it's already been done.
because it's already been done, that's why I wanted to explain.
It's
So
earlier.
that was earlier, the retaining wall, that money was, approved earlier. And then there was some savings, like about $10,000, $12,000 from that project of what originally you all thought it was gonna be. We thought it was gonna be 50, I think y'all approved 50 originally, and it only ended up being 30. And so there was a group who came to us and said, well, we wanna take that and expand that landscaping over to around the playground area. That to me is more the landscaping project. And so what ended up happening was they said, well, you can't use those funds, even though you have leftover, to extend that project. And so we came back to you, and that's what I'm guessing this is. I can't remember without watching the video, but I'm guessing that this was like, oh, okay, now we want to take the 1220 that Gomez said that they could do those, continue the landscaping project along the playground area.
All right, has that?
And that's already been,
50,000 were those city funds?
That was
Those
RCDC.
were not RCDC.
they were RCDC funds.
were.
They were
We have it
approved to
budgeted.
be RCDC
We
funds.
did that?
It's in the budget, there's a $50,000 line item, that's currently budgeted, and a $55,000 called mobility connectivity and safety.
And I don't think I came to every single one of your meetings or stayed
I
for
don't
all of
either.
them, and I probably only paid attention to the parks project. But I do think we can clear this up by just having someone watch the video. I hate to do that.
Okay, well,
But-
we haven't written any checks for that, I don't think,
No.
sir.
Well, that's
it's
bad
budgeted,
on
but
the
that
city,
project has
because
been
we,
done,
yeah,
hasn't it?
and the city has paid Gomez, so I don't know how on the back end that works with the city, but I'm sure the city can basically come to you and say, remember you approved that project, you need to relinquish those, funds. I don't know how that works.
Well, I don't either, and neither does my treasurer, and that leads to a little bit of a problem as to, we've got a fund here that we're supposed to be dealing with and controlling, and since we don't have records of what we approved, that's what I'm trying to get
Yeah.
straightened out here, Melissa.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge you the funds, I don't recall
Oh, no.
the 50.
Yeah.
I think she's right. I thought somebody said last meeting that they were gonna go back and watch the minutes. The discussion and redo the minutes, or at least prove them up.
Correct.
If I remember correctly.
And we also have the option of having an AI
Yeah.
scrub it,
Yes.
so.
Okay, so I can,
Nikki, our development
I can
director.
speak to the minutes and the resolutions. So, the minutes, as they are in the packet and as they were posted in the February packet, are correct. I watched that meeting back and forth, and those minutes do reflect exactly the appropriations that y'all had set. The resolutions, however, the dollar amounts were incorrect. So that was signed previously.
Yeah, and there's duplication between them.
Correct.
Both of them
We
the
just-
same project.
So, yes, so, the amounts have been, fixed to match the meeting minutes from the 20th, and that's what you have in your packet. However, the wording on, section 2 that you're saying don't match, I just changed that, and I can pass that out for y'all to look at if you'd like. But other than that, the resolutions now match the minutes.
Okay.
And I can pass those around if you'd like.
All right, please do that.
Okay.
Because we need to put this past to bed and know where we are. And then all of the things we do have to go to city council for approval. Ellen, could you tell us what has been approved by city council in connection with these minutes and resolutions that we're now changing up?
I believe the resolutions have not yet gone to council because they weren't correct at the time that they were passed. I think the issue is caught in advance of the council meeting. As far as the one that Melissa was addressing about the $50,000 or so for the retaining wall at the park, that was a long time ago. It was before I even got here. So it was before March of last year when that was, and that's probably why it's just been so far in the past that it might just be kind of buried with time there.
Okay.
Those ones, I don't know where the resolution is. I haven't looked for a resolution. I didn't know that there was a question with the approval there, but we can double check
Well,
that.
the two resolutions that are in our packet today, the packet today that Bobby's just looking at, I ran out and looked at briefly before coming over here this afternoon. The resolutions call for Resolution 2510-2005. The heading says Playscape Improvements.
Yes, sir.
And in the text, it talks about architectural renderings, so that has.
And that's the one that Nikki just corrected. I think there's a copy and paste
so
of the
revised
other one.
ones
They
that-
hadn't caught
We've
that.
just been handed,
Yes, sir.
and that's 14,000. Bobby, should that be 14 or 14.5 by your reading of all of this? I think the
Park
min-
improvement from Playscape is 14,
Yes.
sod sprinkler is 14.5.
That's what we have on our end as well.
2,800 for environmental study.
Now, none of that is in the minutes. As I read what's in our package today.
We have it on page 3 of the minutes, Monday, October the 20th. So if you look at the third paragraph in bold, Emily Duran moved to approve funding for up to 14,500 is what that one begins. And then the other motion for the 14,000 is towards the bottom of that same page. It's page 8 of the packet, but page 3, not page
All
3.
right, I'm looking at I guess I printed the PDF instead of the other form. You've got,
That is the section that he's referring to.
yes, yeah, 14.5. All right, so does that mean then that well, that 14.5 was not for the playscape? It was designed.
Correct.
for
It's
underlying
14,005.
improvement,
Yes, sir.
resodding, new sprinkler system, soil testing for ball fields.
So I wanna just say something really quick. I think one of the other reasons that has sort of fallen off of all of our memories is that right around that same time was when the whole, are we gonna do an off-leash area, are we gonna combine? And so all of a sudden, there's been no focus on getting a design for sprinklers and grass over there because all of a sudden we were looking at, which you're looking at in your packets today, a much broader parking lot, off-leash, possible off-leash area, a redesign of that whole area. And so I think in many ways, we move forward with that improvement to the playground area, but that particular design for the sprinklers is not a priority. I mean, y'all can, you said yes and you'd do it, but it's not, we sort of went in a completely different direction from that moment on.
Okay, you're not planning to use that, at least right now?
Not right this second. It's not a priority because of all this other design work that we're looking at for the park. We don't wanna do a design for a sprinkler system if we're gonna move all these fences and have an off-leash area instead and,
And I don't believe there's a resolution for that either, because neither of these resolutions are the 14.5.
We have two 14.5 resolutions now?
No, we have one 14,000.
We have one 14 and one 20. There's no 14.5 resolution, so I think that matches with what Melissa's saying.
what do the resolutions need to say so that the city can approve those, so that the treasurer can issue checks that match all of this? Fred, your excitement is noted. Leon.
I'm sorry, it was
Sorry.
from
No,
last night.
It's okay.
Long
We're all
weekend
neighbors
baseball
and friends
tournament.
here. We're trying to sort out what we have done and what is being authorized. I just wanna make sure there's a good paper trail for when checks are signed by this organization, that we've proposed, that we've adopted the resolution, that that's been approved by council, and then we can sign checks. And there's a good audit trail. That's all I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and don't worry, we'll spend that 14.5 for you later. And we'll
I know
even do
you-
it on.
You'll spend all the money we'll give you, dear.
That's right.
I
And
understand
we'll
that.
even do it on sprinklers and just, we need to back up a step and do this other stuff first.
Okay, here's my question. The minute proposal that is in front of us in the package today calls for a funding of up to 14.5 for design specifications for underlayment, dirt improvement, resodding, and sprinkler system. The resolution most closely following that was well, we don't have
No,
that.
go down to number 5.
Pardon?
If you're on number 4, go to number 5. That one's the
Right.
14,000.
Okay. So do we not have a,
We do not have a 14.5 resolution.
Resolution.
And
Great.
according to Melissa, we probably don't need one, so do we need to
we don't
vote
need
to-
one now?
Right.
That's what I think
Yeah.
what I think I heard her say.
I would just do it for the number 5, like you're saying, the 14, because that work has already been done on the playscape improvement landscaping.
All right.
So that's been done.
Okay, but the, watching the film of the meeting, Nikki, 14.5 was the number that was approved for this on this,
14.5 was the number that was approved for the sod and,
for item 4
yes,
Right.
of that,
but
okay.
there's no resolution as of now for that amount.
Because no one's asking for it yet. We're not doing the project yet, and we're not
Okay.
doing it, so you can.
All right, we probably
can
ought
wait.
to, Nikki, can we go ahead and do a resolution?
No, we don't need to.
Yeah,
Pardon?
We don't need to do a resolution. We're
I
not doing
wouldn't
it.
do one.
yeah.
It's gonna be included in the next
minute.
steps phase.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. We did resolutions for the other two. I don't know where those came from. I didn't have anything to do with drafting those.
They were there.
Do we know how those came about? Was that something that was done by
You
prior
are-
administration?
You moved to authorize funding for a park improvement project for up to 20,000.
I did.
Colin seconded it, and it carried 4-0. And then there's a $14,000 that you moved to approve for the playscape improvement. Colin seconded, and the motion carried forward.
All right, and the resolution for that,
The first 14,000 is,
Can you tell what the 20,000 is for?
resolution 2025-10-2005.
Yep, okay.
That's for the 14,000.
okay.
And I believe what the difference is here, sir, is that the 14,500 wasn't posted as a public hearing with a possible resolution adoption. It was more a discussion that I think we didn't expect to get as far as being a resolution at the time it was presented to the board here. The other two,
Okay, so
the
that
agenda
would-
caption shows public hearing and
What that would
adoption.
indicate then is we need to go through the full process again for the 14.5.
I would agree. I think this is kind of
When you need that.
the board saying yes, great idea, move forward to the next step, and with your permission, at the time when the park commission and the city council are ready for you to take the next step, we'll bring the resolution forward to you to keep the paper trail just right.
But what is the 24?
The 20,000 is for a park improvement project, and the park improvement project is for landscape architect drawings that can have offset
great.
code on
That's
its
what I thought.
expenses,
Great.
Up to 20.
Yeah.
Up to
Yeah.
up to
And that's
20,000.
what Kurt
Yes.
has been doing for us.
Yes, ma'am. That offsets the landscape architect's work at the park up to $20,000.
Perfect.
All right. Do we have, Bobby, do we have agreement that with respect to the minutes of October the 20th, 2025, item number 4, the $14,000 item, the new irrigation system,
Is the fund.
Yeah, the irrigation and the sprinkler system were not
Not
was,
today.
there was no resolution for it, and we're not doing it.
It'll be in the next big number.
We're not doing it.
Okay. But is, we adopted some, I mean, there was a motion made. and
If I
approved.
may. So the resolution 2025-10-2005 for $14,000 was resolved. And we want to affirm that for $14,000 for park improvement up above. For 2025-10-2006 was for up to $20,000 for the architecture plans, the overall planning that was going into what the Parks Department is doing right now for the dog,
Well, for the landscape,
yeah,
the
yes,
parking lot and entrance.
yes, the back. Yes.
Okay.
Do we need to take a vote to send those
I
resolutions
don't
to council, or?
Well, I think we need to get the minutes straight. All right, if we've got no resolutions, let's come to the ratification of the resolutions as revised in a minute, and let's go to and finish up for once and for all the October 20 minutes. As written and as now discussed, are those now appropriate, Pat? Okay, all right. Can I then have a motion to approve these as revised and in the packet?
Yes. I have
Is that a motion?
motion to approve the minutes and the resolutions that we currently have, 2025, 2005, and 06.
All right, you're combining all of that, which
Yes.
it doesn't offend me, except that
I'm a self-employed
Nikki just
lawyer.
hand out a revised for number 05 that does correct the playscape improvements, as opposed to something else that was there for the 14,000, but, okay, so, your motion then, I take it, I'll restate it just to make sure, approve
Please do.
the October 20, 2025 minutes as in the packet. And also confirm the two Community Development Corporation resolutions, number 05 and 06, which arise out of some, but not all, of that public, out of the minutes that we have just proposed to approve. Okay?
Yes.
Do I have a second to that?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion of this confusion? All in favor?
Aye.
Put this behind us. Thank you. All right. Excuse me. Now, we've done items 2, 3, and 4, I believe.
Yeah.
And we're moving to the regular agenda, which does not have discussion items really. Excuse me, which does not have action items, it has discussion items. On the April 9 Linwood Park Design Group meeting, Bobby was there, I was there, Arun was there. Does anyone care to encapsulate 2 hours of discussion into a 2-minute report? My report to my wife was that these 3 that I had copied and made for you, so everybody has the same thing today. Proposals for restructuring the upper fields were the subject of the discussion, although time-wise, most of the discussion had to do with whether or not we're gonna have concrete, asphalt, or some kind of pervious cover, excuse me, for the parking areas. And then, at the end of the meeting, it came to be said that, well, we could do the parking area right now if we make that decision, if not we, but the Park Commission and the City Council make the decision of what to do with the surfacing of the parking area. However, if then we decide to redo the back area of the park for baseball and an off-leash area, we would have to drive over that brand-new area with heavy equipment and dirt and would probably mess up what we had just built. And so there is, I describe this as kind of 3-dimensional chess to make all these things work as well in substance of what we're gonna do, and then also the timing of it. to get it all done. And so I don't recall that we had really a resolution of whether we want to do which paving, and we didn't have a resolution at the meeting of which version, if any, of the three off-leash area and redone baseball fields would be done. But that is the subject of a park commission meeting, a further subject of a park commission meeting tomorrow at noon, right here, if you'd care to attend, which I plan to do to see how this continues to develop. And so the purpose of discussing this with us tonight has to do with the other information that we were given by the material that was on the desk was cost estimates. And the cost estimates are pretty stout. I didn't get really a ballpark, but I got, the ballpark was what, around $450,000 for the parking area, Bones?
$200,000 to $320,000.
$200,000 to $320,000, okay. And then the work to do an off-leash area and fencing and redoing ballparks and moving a batting cage. I want to see how that happens. We don't have any cost estimates for this at this point in time, but I wanted to bring to you the idea that we are going to be requested, I believe, by our good friends at the Park Commission and probably our good friends at City Council for us to fund a bunch of this work when the dust settles and the designs are completed. One of the other chess pieces that Melissa's worrying about and trying to work with is we're not getting feedback from Little League and softball, as I understand matters. They're in the beginning of their seasons. They're all caught up in putting on their program, and so they haven't really given us a lot of feedback, although various members of their community were at the meeting and talked about what they liked and what they didn't like about these designs. And so watch here for further attractions. Bobby, any additional comment?
No, I think that, like we said, to do impermeable in one form or another, Melissa called me, $200,000 to $300,000. That gets just the parking areas done. We haven't even looked at the ballpark. We have, $900 and something thousand as of 4/8. We have $920,000 available. So we have some already allocated. We have $72,000 has to go to admin. We have some legal and economic development budgeted, but we could pay for that portion of it and have some run.
So does that include have we paid out the 50,000
No.
from, okay, so that's already
That's still
allocated.
pending,
Okay.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to go through, when some of this dust settles, we're gonna have to redo the budget, okay? Because we have to make the budget then match the resolutions, which match the checks that are written, and the budget was done with a wild-ass guess in back July of last year as to what was gonna be the expenditures of this group, and things have not developed and other things have developed faster, et cetera, so we're gonna have to do a rebudgeting. And it's for that purpose, it's to serve as a grounding or give you some information for that purpose that I wanted to have this discussion tonight about things that I believe that we will be looked for funding. And so we'll have to develop budget revisions, but right now, I don't think we've spent hardly anything.
We have about $108,000 budgeted to spend. So
And-
I need to get with Abel and decide how much of this is old and can fall off the budget.
Yeah, for those of you who are new, we provide $72,000 in our budget for city administrative support, all right? And then the other items, to my,
That doesn't include the $72,000 you've been
money that we have, 72,000 is budgeted for the city.
Yes.
We have some for legal.
Yes.
Stan,
5,000.
raise your hand and say it's well worth it, yeah, okay. And then, some other items, but none of that really matches what we're talking about doing now as a result of these discussions. So we will have to do some rebudgeting
Or
when we
amend the
have,
budget, yeah.
yeah, when we have some numbers. Which leads then me to, want to talk about, unless, Arun, do you have anything you want to say more about the meeting on last week, the design meeting?
I just had a question for Melissa, which is, would it be helpful to y'all to have some indication from us of what percent or some rough number of our budget that we have currently that we'd be willing to put towards the project? Because, and I mean, that might take more discussion than just today,
It does.
but, I mean, yeah. But, I think that that's something that we should probably try to get our heads around.
Well, the park commission has no money. They don't have the ability. They have
Right.
to use us or the city council to go get money. I would like to know, is the city council gonna put forward some money, or do they want the RCDC to finance the entire improvement project?
Yeah, so, and I'll even take one step back. So, I've been on the Park Commission for 4 years. I was,
Thank you.
on council, about 20 years ago, literally, 22 years ago, for 4 years. And now I work at WEA, which is a youth sports organization, so it's kind of funny. I think part of the reason I got asked to do this is I'm already doing it at work all day. So, just as you said, Parks does not really have any money, so the only way we can do projects is to come to RCDC, go to council, or do fundraising. There is such a thing as called Friends of Rollingwood Park. To this point, it has normally just been sort of reopened when a special project has been wanted, like the bathrooms up there, where I think that was the reason they established it in the first place. And so those are the only ways we can fund. One of the things that when I became chair and we decided to start prioritizing projects within the park, we came to RCDC and council and said, look, we're ready to kind of wake up the parks again, get some good improvements done, but we're gonna need everyone's help. And everyone gets really excited about it, but then they also get unexcited when it takes 6 months to get a project done. And so part of this is we are trying to be more proactive of telling you where we are in our planning and the things that we're thinking of. So yes, we would love, part of us coming to council and to you all is to kind of get a feel for and temperature in the community of, is this something that you all would be willing to fund? If it's not, then we need to go find the funds somewhere else, or we need to change which project we might do. So all of these groups get to sort of get input along the way. What I think is gonna happen tomorrow, and I don't wanna speak for Parks Commission because it hasn't happened yet, but we have used your money, your $20,000, to go and get some designs. Let me back up one more. When we first came to you, we wanted to just do the parking lot. And when we started to work on the parking lot, it was actually RCDC who said back to us, hey, what about the whole park master plan? Why are you just doing the parking lot? Why aren't you doing more? And from that sort of blew open this re-looking at the off-leash area, which has been a lightning rod for not happy speak amongst neighbors many times. And so a lot of people have run away from it with, please don't bring that up again. I don't want to have to talk about it. And so, but here I am, because I love really hard stuff, trying to work through it. I don't know if we're going to have an off-leash area. But what we are having so far is really civil, wonderful conversation about the pros and cons of having a separate off-leash area and having a dedicated 3, 4, and 5 that wouldn't have animals on it. But in the end, what we'll be looking at tomorrow is we have an existing condition, which is that we share 3, 4, and 5. So that's one. That's choice one. And then we've been working with a design architect, Kurt, at Sitio Design, who has been an angel. I just want to say that your $20,000 was going to buy us 3 versions. I think we're on version 11. So I can't say enough nice things about him and all the great things that he's done, the iterations. Some of the things you'll see in this design that we really have come to the conclusion of is that the walking trail is sacred and we want to keep it as long and as intact as possible. We don't want to drift any of our park or dog off-leash area below that and into our neighbor's sort of buffer zone. And so that's why you see versions A, B, and C looking in some ways very similar. Previously, we also had a walking trail on the inside part between the off-leash area and the ball fields. We had a little walking trail and some trees. We've done away with that in order to maximize both of those spaces, knowing that in the future, if we felt we needed to add a walking trail in between or trees, we could do that in the future. So this is sort of a bare bones. Again, one of the mantras of our park commission right now is to do things that don't cost a lot of money, don't require a lot more maintenance, and that are the lowest management for our small rolling wood staff. They already have plenty of things to do, not worry about all of us up in the park area. So as you look at this, what I think will probably happen tomorrow is that we will either say we recommend, this is the other part, we really, even though we've had lots of public input through council, through these, etc., not as many people have time off on Tuesdays at noon as they do after 6 o'clock at night. And we've also found that more people want to kind of, the Parks Commission doesn't really make decisions. A little bit like you all, we can make recommendations, but in the end we have to get money from someone else and we have to get the council to approve it. And so we are really just doing sort of the homework behind the scenes, talking to people. These are gonna be, either we will recommend A, B, C, or A and B, or A and C, or B and C, or we'll recommend all three of them, and to consider the steady state that we're in, and have council basically take up, okay, here are the 4 versions, public input, sort of final round of that, and then see where we are. It would be great to know that RCDC is willing to, I mean, with that knowledge, to fund a third, a half, the whole thing, and then to hear from City Council what, if you didn't fund the whole thing, what they would be willing to fund. So that's kind of, that helps you understand where we are in the process. You don't have to make a decision tonight because we haven't recommended something yet. But somewhere in the 250 to, let's say, 400,000 range is what we're looking at for what that would include would be mostly the improvements to the parking lot. So the parking lot that you see here basically has as many spaces as our current way of parking up there that's not organized, plus it adds actually 10 more spaces when we use the back parking lot as well. We're recommending to do this parking lot in order to make that parking lot parkland, like get it back to being parkland, whether it's an off-leash area or just an open grassy area. And what one of the recommendations Victoria had made at the end of it is, even if we can't get to the resolution or a final say on whether we want to have an off-leash, a separate off-leash area or not, we could at least go ahead and excavate out that area and put sod down. And, you know, I guess we could do the sprinkler system as well, not knowing where we might put fencing later. So we're kind of have a lot of options now, but that would be a way for move forward. Now on that 250 to 400, that does not include excavating that area. When you look over here in that little sheet, you got the extra expenses on that excavation, haul off, and the cedar. Well, you could even take the fence off, but we could go ahead and do the excavation now so that we don't have to put that heavy equipment back through there. And we could go ahead and put sod down, because we pretty much know whether it's gonna be a baseball field or a dog park, we are gonna wanna have sod. We might do something different in terms of some of the landscaping and that kind of stuff if we did do an off-leash area, but for right now, that would be the simplest way to move forward and take advantage of not mobilizing twice in that area.
Seems like the parking lot would obviously be the last thing that you would want to do regarding the heavy equipment. And what type of material, is that been recommended yet or not?
Yes, so that's why we have sort of the range. So the Parks Commission, at least up to this point, has very heavily been leaning towards a pervious, either a gridlock or I think it's called gravel pave, There's two different companies that basically create this, what I call honeycomb-like structure. And I can give you a list after this. I'm sorry I didn't send it to you before this, of places you can go and look and see where it's been installed. But so that is a pervious one. And one of the reasons, well, there's several reasons for us hoping to do some sort of pervious. One, we believe that it will be much easier to get it through TCEQ and that it won't impact drainage around there as much. That stuff basically builds into itself almost like a French drain. So, and from my understanding when they came and spoke to us before, and this has been almost a year, they basically build it for like 100-year flood of if water was coming down on a grassy area, that it would percolate as good or better than it would in that area.
Yeah, I just don't have a lot of confidence in that at all. I think obviously we have to deal with the funds we have, and as a new member of the board, I'd like to reflect the will of our city council since they're the ones who are elected and appointed us. But I think we need a range of, the impervious cover, the rocks versus doing concrete, because a concrete parking lot it'll be here in 25 years, and the impervious cover one may look worse than the one we have right now in
Sure.
7 or 8 years.
Right. Yeah.
So that's my concern.
Right.
So.
And so that's why we're getting a bid for asphalt, cement, and the pervious.
Yes.
The biggest problem we have with the impervious is then there'll be additional costs to deal with the drainage, like having an extra reservoir area and,
Right.
anyway.
And,
So,
and there's no plan for that in here, so we'd have to.
so that would
figure it out.
increase the costs
But
of,
that's all, that is
Yeah.
all assuming how the engineering would go if they chose to do the asphalt or the concrete. We might have to have some kind of a drainage area and a detention pond.
We definitely will have to have some kind of drainage plan, whatever that is. But I just want us to, I think it'd be a good idea, just even if we don't do it,
yeah,
end up
it's,
deciding not to do it, just to look at all those options to see which one makes the
There
most
was-
sense.
and that's why
discussion.
the construction documents will be such that we can get bids for all three kinds, so we can do
Gotcha.
asphalt, concrete, or the pervious. And right now, we have asked the engineer, our staff to work with our city engineer to tell us what the ramifications of each of those three different paving systems require.
Yes.
So, and I'm right there with you. I haven't seen gravel paved for very long. I know asphalt you have to fix not infrequently. Cement is probably the best. The other part is we have several heritage trees out there, and so one of the other bids that we got was basically $20,000 in tree protection, because we have these beautiful massive trees out there and we don't want to kill any of them.
Certainly
And
not.
so that includes tree protection. It includes them coming and actually like feeding the tree and protecting it beforehand, and then for the next 4 years afterwards, after the construction is complete.
Right.
But there are things about the aprons around them. Again, with the I think it was with actually the cement, and because the cement we were able to rob, and we can go into this more at another time, but the project manager for some of our most recent street and sewer projects or water projects have been overseen by a man named Rob Tyler, and he has been weighing in with this too. He's who helped us do these estimates, and I believe, again, the cement doesn't have to go as thick, and so we wouldn't have to dig around the roots of those trees. But again, then we would have to look at what the drainage is off of that. I mean, y'all know what the tennis court, and we all know that the tennis courts that are being installed right now, there's a theory about how that drainage is gonna work, but it'll be interesting to see how it all really plays out. So yeah, we will get all three of those, and that will be part of the decision making. I mean, it may come to us that it's like, well, it's $500,000 to do the one that we want, and we say, no, we're gonna do cement or asphalt, and we're gonna do $250,000. So, well, that's kind of where we
As I
are.
understood the discussion at the design meeting last week, there would be some additional cost periodically to deal with the maintenance of the impervious cover. That would not be there for asphalt and concrete, so that's an issue. And then the question was asked, where can we go look at one of these things? Because people don't like the grasscrete, which is something, bricks with holes in it that has been used as an impervious cover parking area and not well, apparently. I don't have any personal experience with either of these things, but we're trying to find, or they were trying to find, the park group was trying to find some place where people could go look at one of these, Fred, and see what it looked like and maybe get some idea. There was something on Sixth Street, wasn't it? Something on East Sixth?
Hold
That
on,
was-
cause I just sent, to, this other group, and Lindsay,
But these are all things that are in play?
yeah,
All the questions about initial cost, ongoing maintenance, TCEQ involvement, these are all still there. And so the question that was asked, and I think we're struggling to get a handle on how to answer even, is what would we be willing to put in? And the answer, I don't think we know. We don't know enough to answer that today. I don't.
so the grass pave is in the fire lanes around the domain. There it's at Q2 Stadium. I have seen the ones at Q2 Stadium. They also have used at Austin Community College Highland Mall campus. Has a big grass paved fire lane with meandering sidewalk. TxDOT Consolidation Campus in Austin also has gravel pave, and one of their biggest installations is at the Tesla Gigafactory outside of Austin. So anyway, there are several places we can send you guys.
Or we
Also,
could probably pull those up online and take
Yeah.
a look too, most
Yeah.
of them.
yeah, and
Yeah.
1 in a Million. If you've ever been down there,
really?
on over on, I think it's on Cesar
The
Chavez.
Mexican food
On the east
restaurant.
side,
Yeah, on the
yeah.
east side. Yeah,
Good margaritas.
yeah.
Yeah, we could.
So anyway.
Move to authorize margaritas for all of us.
That'd be a motion we could also.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know that there is a natural end to that, but that updates us.
Did you have a hope, Marissa, that you came to the meeting hoping to hear from us? Or desired expectation, or you just kinda here to?
You know what I didn't want? Y'all to go, yeah, no way. And I'm not saying no way. It's like, hey, we want you to be thoughtful. We want to make sure that this is a, vetted process. And I don't feel like I have enough information yet to make the decision. That all makes sense to me. But I'm not hearing you say, no way.
We appreciate your work, and
Yeah.
I mean, this is an amazing park we have, and we just need to make it as spectacular as we can, and
Yeah.
and be judicious with the way we spend the city's money.
For sure.
You do have a
Melissa,
question?
I'm really impressed with the process that you're going through, because it sounds like you're doing it in the right order, and so that RCDC and City Council won't be able to think of any questions. There'll be no stumbling.
I doubt that.
Yeah, right.
Thank you for what you're doing,
And-
though,
Yeah.
very much.
And,
Thank you.
and thank you for going through all that tonight. That's very, very helpful, especially for us
Yes, thank you for being here, Melissa.
freshmen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
do want to take on number 6, and to complete our discussions for the day, which is basically to go over the balance sheet. I had that sent to you by the city, and it's also in the package. This is the package has February 28. I think there's been a little bit of an update, but nothing of great materiality to go through, but just to see what we have in the bank, so to speak, to deal with this question. And ultimately, we will have to make recommendation to the city how much of this money we spend for this purpose and how much we spend for other purposes, if any. And we do have, I believe, if anyone, Bob, do you want to go over the financials in any way other than the bottom line right now?
I mean, unless y'all want something more detailed, we have 920,000 as of 4/8. We have 77,000 of non-project related budgeted items, 72 of which is for what we pay for our share of the city's administrative costs. We have 5,000 allocated towards legal expenses. I wanted to say that came from our willingness to contribute to the MOPAC.
Well,
legal.
that is an item I got an email on from Kevin to.
But just so we can get through 6, currently we have another $108,000 budgeted between park improvement, mobility, connectivity, and safety, and then $3,000 for park amenities. So all told, about $205,000 that we have budgeted. I do think it's worth getting with Abel and saying how many of these are still current, because we've just done this for the last year and a half with projects and parks and expectations. We had certain amounts of money that we had promised to the Parks Commission just so that they could count on it for their work. You know, is that something we want to continue just the budget outside of projects? It's kind of up to us. I think we need to clean this up a little bit.
And I have a very easy question for you.
I
What
don't
is tax pool?
It's a savings account that we can set aside money in.
It's a state-operated, very safe savings account is what it
Okay,
boils down
okay.
to. I think they just put it
Never
in
heard that term.
state securities or something of that
I
sort.
don't even know what they do, but it allows us to get it out of our coffers and put it someplace safe.
Okay.
And get a little bit
Once
of
we get
interest
over
on
a
it.
certain
Is there
budget.
interest paid on that?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
but very little, it's only 2%.
Very nominal.
We're looking at
The-
like $10,000.
The interest paid by Texpo is pretty nominal, but by statute, it's the only thing that we can put money into. And it's all statutory, so we have no choice as to where those funds get invested
where they
before.
sit.
Yes, exactly.
Your
Well,
time
we
and
decide,
capital
Able
employee
usually
feature.
gives us a recommendation and says, hey, you have X amount of cash, you need to move some of it to tax pools with the last time, 2 times we've
And
done it.
withdrawing or moving money out of tax pool is no big deal. They
No.
don't give us
No.
any problems.
No, it's pretty straightforward. Able just requested.
Because it's not their money.
We haven't really requested it back since I've been around, but it's our money, yeah, it's just a savings account.
The last item, about project ideas to support and enhance businesses that contribute to the Rollingwood, Community Development Corporation tax base. Our tax base comes from sales taxes of basically the businesses over on BK Road. Think about that. There's some things that I think we should do, to assist those businesses. I don't know that we are a venture capital fund to actually invest in anything really, but we have in the past, over many years, we've put in water lines, sewer lines, things like that to facilitate the development of some of the facilities over there, and I think that those things should be open to us. And then in the past, we have had a budget. We don't have a budget now, but I think a couple of years ago, Bobby, we did have a budget for some, the city doing something with respect to this MOPAC South extension. And that's been I don't know where that issue has been, but it's been pretty quiet for the last year, but all of a sudden it's hot again. And specifically on, is it tomorrow or the next day?
Tomorrow, 5.
Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, there is a hearing on that here. And in the past, RCDC has been requested, and we did budget, but we never spent any money with respect to the city's opposition or agreement with or
Representation too.
representation with respect to these hearings and the issues there. I'm not proposing that we do anything. I'm again just using this meeting to familiarize all of you with a little bit of the history that we have been asked by the city council in past years, but not currently, to contribute some money to their effort to deal with this MOPAC issue. And with that, I've exhausted my interest in, or my knowledge of what the issues are even. I think the question is, if they do an overpass, will it, right by our little city here, will it A, provide a lot of noise to the city, to our residents, and B, loss of privacy by people driving over and looking in people's backyards, et cetera. And I think those are the issues that have been there. Phil, is that what?
With regard to the MOPAC South, there are multiple issues. There has been some movement. There's been discussion. There hasn't been anything determined or finalized. But there have been, according to our mayor and Amy Patillo, some promising discussions that have occurred. And they are looking at some of those other options other than the high flyovers. And this will all be discussed tomorrow, and we invite anyone and everyone from Rollingwood who is interested, and that would include our Westlake Hills folks too, because everybody's going to be affected by that. there are accessibility issues going on to MOPAC, especially getting to any of the express lanes. If anybody wanted to use any of those, are potentially going to be impacted depending on what is decided and anything that gets done. Those projects, it's a very big deal. So we should all be very engaged in that.
We'll stay advised. Yes.
Please do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kathy?
As I've been learning what RCDC does and how it fits into the community, after the last meeting, I was thinking about number 7. And it occurred to me that I bet at least 50, maybe more like 75% of the Rollingwood residents don't know about all the other properties that, like the Chinatown.
The businesses
They don't
that are-
know that that's part of the city of Rollingwood or
Yeah.
anything else, or like Trader Joe's. And so why not do something to the residents just to explain that and outline that for them and encourage them to use those businesses more, frequent them more. Certainly,
Buy local.
you wouldn't go so far as to recommend a doctor, but, you know, just explaining that, you know, this is an office building, there are doctors and dentists and blah, blah, that kind of thing. But mainly to make sure that Pepitas and Chinatown and Traders, everybody is aware, everybody in the community is aware that, you know, the more you use those businesses, the more money comes into the coffers of the city of Rollingwood, which in turn benefits everybody who lives here and pays taxes.
That's
I
a great
agree, and
point.
there's occasionally opportunities that Alan told me about, and we didn't take recently, but there's a new business, what is it, People's Pharmacy?
Yeah.
Opened
Right.
up over there.
Right.
And if we could do something like put an announcement in the water bill or something like that, and I mean, that'd just be, we would pay for the printing or something. I don't think it would even be additional cost to the city to do something like that. But
Well, if
we need to be thinking about things exactly along the lines, in my opinion, exactly along the lines you're talking about. Bobby would probably prefer to do a little more, and we need to have those discussions, but we need to be moving in that direction.
And I think doing information to the community on a monthly basis, not just, you know, some
I'm
small
open to-
mention and something else.
I'm certainly open to
that
figuring out how to
nobody
do
pays
something
attention
like
to.
that.
That people are looking forward to reading about it and learning more about where they live. So I think it needs to be done on a regular basis. Now, that means you're gonna have to have, you know, somebody write and edit and all that kind of stuff, print. But I think it could be done easily.
And we could do, if we got an email list of people in the city, that
Yeah.
would be a
Right.
good thing too.
Yeah, it doesn't
mean,
have to be paper.
yeah,
It
we
can
go-
just be an email.
We go to People's, and I've talked to 2 different people who work there, and
Mhm.
I said, hey, how do you like being in Rollingwood? And they love it. I mean, they have so much more foot traffic now than they did before on West Bank Drive, and you know, there's people going to Trader Joe's and Panera's and the other establishments there, and I mean, I'm thrilled that it's there. It's so much more convenient for all of us, and it's a wonderful business.
When I was in publishing for 42 and a half years, and so I have experience with, you know, editing, and a little bit of writing and all that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to help pull that together if everybody has ideas for other people to, like
I
2 or
think
3
that's something
people
we
to
should
do
put some money behind. I don't know exactly how to organize it, but if you could come up with some, a little bit of a proposal or something, and we'll discuss it and see what we can get done.
that. Well, and
We just need to adopt a project, and,
Right.
you know, we can adopt projects beyond what the city council has asked us to do for the field, for example, and do things on our own initiative, and so we just need to have a definition of what is a project, adopt a resolution, get the city council to approve it, and we go do it.
Well, and if it goes out as an email, you're virtually not gonna have any expenses at all,
Well,
because you're gonna have volunteers writing and editing and all that kind of stuff, unless you wanna,
I agree.
Pay me
It's
something.
that kind of creative thought that I think we need to be giving,
yeah.
and doing programs like
Okay.
that. All right, I am at the end of the agenda. Do we have any other business?
I would, in addition to that business development idea, we do have spent a lot of money on the retail coach. I know it's kind of petered out in the last several months.
Retail what?
Retail coach.
A
which was
brokerage, or broker and information about things like you were talking about, Kathy, gathering data about what businesses are here, what businesses would like to be here. We do have a trove of information that we've bought.
Yeah, it's
about-
promotion of our community to other businesses, and there is a lot of interest in coming in here. There's just not a lot of room for that, and that's what kind of developed around, you know, trying to look at some of these retail spaces. And so, I don't think that it was done. It wasn't an A+ effort on their part, but it is work that we've had done, and we probably shouldn't just completely abandon it.
And it would feed into what you're talking
It would
about
do
doing.
exactly that.
Because it would identify the businesses that we could identify to our,
Right.
to our citizens, to our, to go patronize these and why it pays back
Right.
to the city. So it's a data source for you, or for your idea. Okay, motion to adjourn? Do I,
Also moved.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote with your feet. Thank you all for being.
Thank you, Melissa.
Great.